Disappointment is a feeling experienced a lot by people like me who try not to hate. I've experienced a lot of disappointments of late, but let me tell you in this blog episode what has been the biggest disappointment in my life so far. When I was a boy, I used to argue with my mom sometimes when she would wax nostalgic about Great Britain and the royal family as she recalled her childhood days when Jamaica was still a British colony. She remained Anglo-centric into her adulthood, so her argument revolved around her extolling the virtues of English society, a society and lifestyle that she thought Jamaica should strive to emulate for the betterment of the country. I, on the other hand, would argue that Jamaica should break from her colonial shackles and instead look for inspiration from her closer neighbor, the new dominant force in the world, the United States of America, and focus on making the American dream the Jamaican dream. Until the mid 1960s, England was a choice destination for brainwashed citizens of her former colonies looking to escape their harsh homelands for the mother country where all was perfect. But as the American lifestyle invaded Jamaica and the rest of the Western Hemisphere through television, America, the land of the free and home of the brave, soon became the go-to place for essentially economic as well as political refugees. America was the land of opportunity, where all men were created equal and had these inalienable rights, and where, with dedication and hard work, you could achieve anything. America was a country where you could be all you can be. I remember in debates, pesky issues such as the CIA causing turmoil or assassination in countries near or far were brushed aside because everyone knew that since World War II, America was a force of good in the world. I've thought a lot over the last few years of how I held America and its people in such high esteem back in the day when I used to defend the country in arguments and debates. I felt admiration. But the emotion that most overwhelms me now when I think of the 63 million Americans who voted to make Donald Trump president and the 70 million who still voted for him when he lost to Joseph Biden is disappointment. I can honestly say that I've never been more disappointed about anything in my life. I know I'm being idealistic and a bit naive at heart. I always knew America has faults. I remember like it was yesterday, the first hurt of the heart I suffered. It was being called the N-word when I was 13 years old during my very first visit to the US. I was sitting on the toilet in a bathroom at the Herald Square Macy's when a group of young white boys, younger than me, perhaps between the ages of 8 and 11, ran through the restroom searching for one of their members who they seemed to be chasing to beat up. 3 or 4 of them suddenly busted open the stall door as I sat there, and the leader and most vocal, whose voice I'd been hearing as they made their way through the restroom, glanced at me and said, "It's just a nigger," and they raced off. I was shocked and for the first time seriously wondered about the ideals of America if those kids were its future. Years later, I came to the US as a student to go to college, and even later came back as an immigrant seeking a better life. Perhaps it was the racism I saw and experienced that kept me for many years after qualifying from seeking naturalization as a US citizen. My idealism bubble had popped, and I had gotten to realize that America wasn't so perfect after all. There was still a dream of striving for things that were good as embodied in the country's constitution. And when Barack Obama was elected president, it seemed that the country had taken a giant step in the direction of equality for all. But then, to put that man through all those indignities, starting with John Roberts' artful forgetfulness at his inauguration and ending with replacing him with Trump. To me, it showed a deep-seated hypocrisy at the core of the country's foundation. Whether it be rebellion against elites or rebellion against economic equality or rebellion against job loss, there is some truth in all the varied explanations observers have come up with for why 70 million people voted for Trump the second time round. But to me, the key factor is racism. Of course, not all those 70 million people are white. But who says white people have an exclusive hold on racism? And what is racism? Racism is selfishness and lack of humanity. And that is what Trump has preached, and that's the nature of his supporters. You know, I can never hate America. The country made me. But you know, that saying, you can't shame people who are not ashamed of who they are, is usually applied in a supportive way towards society's minorities, as in being proud of one's black skin or sexual orientation. But when that saying applies to 70 million Americans who are selfish and lacking in humanity, you can only feel heavy sadness and, yes, disappointment.